La, 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 la.
Okay, we are unmuted.
Cool.
It says we are live. It says excellent connection.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Yeah. Woo. Snoochie boochies.
Totally rad.
Awesome.
Okay, cool. So then we just give it a minute.
Like that. Yeah.
And we're good. And then we are doing our show.
Officially. All right.
Officially.
Whew.
The
Okay.
C-Tac is the first one to join us.
First one to roll in.
Hey
to the
there,
chat.
C-Tac.
You got it set up how you like then?
Mm-hmm.
All
I
righty.
think it's okay.
All
Jennifer
right.
Delaney's here. Albert Metelsky's here.
She's Delaney. Whoa, whoa, whoa. She's Delaney. Like
Neil
no one's
House.
ever said that to her before.
Wiki Bobby's back. Welcome back, guys.
Wiki, wiki, wiki,
Wiki, wiki,
Bob.
wiki.
Ba-da,
The
ba-da,
Butler
ba-da.
did it.
He did.
That's a great name.
I like those two.
John Biggins is here. Very cool. Hey, Janet, did you tell Grimm the news? Oh, her birthday is also May 12th when we're going to host the 200th episode.
Interesting.
So I'm like, it'll be Jennifer Delaney night.
Wow. Like they used to have Dick Goddard night and Jim Szymanski night and on Big Chuck and Little John.
Yeah.
Art Lafredo night. It could be, Jennifer.
No, I'm just joking. I don't want to put Jennifer on the spot, but we will definitely give her a proper birthday shout out.
We will.
Yes. Rebel Ghoul Rowan's here. She said she made it.
Yeah.
My Pick TV is here.
Is there a different crew of people that
There's
roll in?
There's some new viewers rolling in a little bit.
That watch the Hangover instead of the Hangout?
I don't know. I've seen several new viewers between both things.
Well, if you don't follow us after the Hangout onto the Hangover, you're missing out. Because this is where we get crazy. No, well.
I don't know about that. It's just more laid back. We're not showing a movie. It's just us talking about stuff.
Yes, it's
pop
just
culture and movies and
chewing the fat, as they say.
yeah, just hanging out with you guys, interacting for a little while before we get too tired and
Oops.
before I crawl back into the sarcophagus.
The
here.
pressure's off of me because I ain't got to drive nothing, So it's just all about, flapping my gums for an hour or so or whatever.
Yeah. What is the topic tonight? Well, we could just talk about different things.
It'll be a potpourri.
Yeah.
How about that?
So Grimm has a show and tell. He's going to show you some cool things.
Some cool things I've acquired over the past week. It'll be fun to go through some of that.
Yeah.
Stuff we got from Tony, our visit with Tony Beller at his flea market booth in Streetsboro. We can show some of that stuff.
James Muscarella says his birthday is later in the month. It's the 24th of May.
Well, that's great.
So that's
He's a
great.
May.
So closer to his birthday, we'll have to give him a shout out too.
May birthdays.
Yeah, very cool.
It should be on a Friday, right? If the 12th is on a Friday night.
It might
the
be.
The 24th should is that how that works? I don't
Close
know.
enough,
I'm bad at mathing.
So, real quick, I wanted to talk
Maybe
about
not.
some books I've been reading.
Oh, you can read.
Yes, I can read even without the pictures.
You can read. Oh.
Yes, I can sound out the words. And
I used to just use those books when we run out of toilet paper.
oh no! Don't use these ones when you
Outhouse.
run out of toilet paper.
Outhouse style. No, that one is near and dear to your heart.
This one is like very special. So I did read this whole book. I read Glamour Ghoul. This is a very special read, written by Sandra Nemi. Sandra Nemi is Mila Nurmi's niece. Who is Mila Nurmi? Mila Nurmi was Vampira. Vampira was the very first horror host ever, the very first horror hostess, a B-movie icon.
Yep.
Just a really cool person in general. And this book is about her life, written by her niece, taken from. It took her years to put it together. She found like old letters, diary entries, scraps of paper with notes, photographs, different ephemera that she gathered from her aunt's old apartment.
After she passed.
After she passed away in 2008.
12 years in the making, that book.
Yes.
And they even find out there's some bombshells actually in this book.
I mean, some stuff I never knew.
Right.
Like, wow.
Literally, like for real.
Some really interesting things.
Yes, and some are, if they're true, are very, very upsetting on levels that we won't get into tonight. But
yeah, we don't want to go into every little detail
but one
of this
them,
book. But there are,
yeah.
like, once you start reading, you can't stop reading it.
And
you know, it's there's parts of it that are absolutely heartbreaking because of the way she was treated.
Yeah, and you know what? No spoilers because, but it is the truth. There are some quite literal bombshells in this thing in this book that once if you think you know everything about a Vampira, or like, you know, or that it's like her life must have been like, oh yeah, that's Vampira, the horror icon.
Yeah,
the
because
horror host.
you think, oh, she must have had this glamorous life, and it wasn't all glamour. It was a lot of hardships and struggles, and people mistreating her.
But I think she was happy in the sense that she was true to herself as a person. I think she never wavered. You know, Mila was always who she was.
Oh yeah, she was always herself.
Yes, no matter what adversity or what happened to her, it never stopped her from being a kind person, which unfortunately got taken advantage of more than several times in her life.
Yeah.
But that didn't break her down. She didn't turn into a terrible person, from what we read.
Yes. And I'm on the lookout for her jewelry. She made jewelry in her later years.
Yes.
She made costumes. She made clothing. She used to sell clothing and jewelry. So I'm on the lookout for one of her handmade jewelry pieces.
That would be sweet.
I would love to cherish that in my jewelry collection.
So yeah, but definitely, and that's a book I saw. I didn't even look at it. I just saw it. It had something. I didn't know who wrote it. I didn't even get all that.
Yeah.
I wish we would have heard of it.
And then
But I picked it up just because it was Vampira centric, and I thought you'd like it.
Yeah, you picked it up, and I didn't realize it was out for a while. I guess it was released in 2021.
A couple years, yeah.
A couple of years ago. And I did friend her niece online, and I just had to say, like, wow, you know, like, I love this book. Thank you for putting it out.
It's something. It's like, and it's one of those reads too. Like, I'm gonna probably read the book, but I probably don't need to because
I was reading parts of it to him because I'm like, oh my gosh, did you know this happened?
I got constant book reports.
Yeah, I would constantly go to you. Hey, did you know this?
Yeah.
And I would read parts. So I was telling you all about it.
And what's interesting too about living nowadays, which I think is fascinating, actually. I thought this whenever it sounds a little funny, but when I'd watch Mystery Science Theater, I'd be able. I love the internet because then I could look up some of the stuff I didn't understand, like because a lot of that stuff was written by the different guys that worked on there, and they all had different sort of sensibilities and different types of knowledge about certain things. So and you know, in interviews they admit that we know some of these jokes not everybody gets them. But on the internet, it's perfect for that. You can go look up stuff. Yes. So with this book, as we read things, we were able to look up to sort of do our own, not fact check, but also just find out more.
Yes,
you know,
to find out more on things. There's a bunch of comments. Bone Jangler says he knew a lot about her life, but had to keep a lot of things quiet. It sounds like he's been friends with Sandra for a while.
Yeah, and but Bone Jangler and Halloween Jack both get thanked in the back of the book.
They did get a thank you in the back of the book, which is cool.
That's really, really cool.
Well, and I remember when they had Sandra on their radio show, they had like a little podcast radio show type of thing. And I remember I was listening into that thinking, oh, wow, so cool.
Yeah, but
they had her on as a guest.
Yeah, I'd like to actually talk to Bones about something because we have some questions. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
There's some stuff that we just can't believe, but if it's true, it's But anyway, that's for another time.
John Biggins says sometimes you read a book and you're dying to talk about it. Yes.
Oh boy.
There's another book I want to pick up because after I read through this, there was an ad in the back for what's the name of it?
The same publisher put it out.
It's called I Put a Spell on You, The Bizarre Life of Screamin' Jay Hawkins.
That should be great.
Now, he sounds like he was really interesting. I would love to learn more about his life. So that's probably the next book I pick up is about Screamin' Jay Hawkins.
Yeah. Or the next book I pick up for you.
Or the next book you pick up for me. You always like to gift me with books, and I love reading them. So.
And then at the same convention, I picked this book up. I've been wanting to read this one for a while.
Yeah, and I started reading this one, Television Horror Movie Host by Elena Watson. And this was written back in 1990. And a good chunk of it is about Zachary-Lee's life. Zachary-Lee, yes, the cool ghoul from like the East Coast, New York and that area, New Jersey. He was really cool. Oh, the ghoul's in here too. There's a bunch of, and there's some hosts in here that I didn't even know existed. There's a chapter on Vampira in here as well that just covers her life briefly. It doesn't go into too many details.
I think we fall in the category of horror hosts that people didn't know existed.
Yeah, right?
Did anybody hear me? I said I think we might fit in that category of horror hosts that people didn't know existed.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. That's okay.
That's all right.
We like doing what we're doing. Oh, here's Zachary. Zachary.
Oh yeah, there's this figurine.
Gifted to us.
I sent you guys a Zachary 45 a few years ago. So it's the SeaTac.
Did he?
Yes, we have it.
Oh yes, we have that.
So the SeaTac, yes, that's also in our collection.
Yeah.
Thank you. We love it. It's in a safe spot. We have that with our Halloween records. We have a collection of Halloween records.
Yes, I remember that. We even have, from that same dealer, I got the Vampira book. I also picked up a Zachary little paperback. Remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's upstairs. Yeah, we have that.
And then another book that I want to get back into.
The Joy of Sex. Oh wait.
No. America's Most Haunted.
Oh yeah.
Written by our friend Eric Olson with Teresa Argy. So yeah, there's some cool ghost stories in there. I've read a little bit here and there, but I want to go in and read more of the ghost stories.
Eric's a great guy.
Yeah.
We interviewed him for our Halloween special a couple years ago.
Yeah, he's super nice.
Yep.
So very cool. But yeah, that's my little show and tell, Grimm. So you have stuff you wanted to share.
Right.
And then we can read more comments.
This is like collectible-y stuff. Some of it has to do with monsters. Some of it doesn't. But
okay.
I could show. Well, I went to the flea market last week with you. We went to the flea market on Sunday morning.
We did.
And I'm a big sucker for artwork. I like stuff, and I found this, and I got it for $5. Check it out.
That's amazing for $5.
It's just an airbrush, canvas by a guy. Looks like there's cards on the back and everything. But he's an airbrush artist, and it was just good old Boris Karloff Frankenstein. Actually, nicely done, I think.
It looks
not
great.
Not too shabby, and definitely worth the $5.
I think that'll look great hanging up on the wall.
We'll have to. I mean, I think that's marvelous. The guy knows what he's doing with the light and shadow. So there you go, $5. That's awesome. And then this wasn't $5. This was a little bit more expensive, but picked this up from the stellar Tony Beller when we visited him at the Streetsboro flea market booth he has. This is a big old Rempel Froggy the Gremlin.
Froggy.
Now, as many of you might know, Froggy from the Ghoul show, right?
Hey, we have a couple Froggies back here, but this one is in the best condition.
Yeah.
And we love all of the Froggies equally.
Yeah.
The Froggy back there was given to us by a friend, Keith. So thank you, Keith. And then the smaller Froggies I actually bought off of eBay.
Hiya, gang. Hiya, 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 hiya. Yeah, this is actually adopted by Ron Swede the Ghoul. This was actually a character from the Buster Brown shoe series. The Buster Brown shoes. And
there was actually a whole clothing line of Buster Brown, like kids' clothes.
Oh yeah, but Buster Brown was a brand from like the 30s or maybe even a little bit before that. But in the 40s, I believe it was Froggy came around. He was called Froggy the Gremlin. He was a troublemaker.
Uh-oh.
And I've got some comics with Froggy in it, and it's just funny to. See, I didn't know that when I was watching The Ghoul. I didn't know that when I watched The Ghoul in the 80s, 70s, and 80s. But and I learned about it. I was like, what? Yes, but The Ghoul must have grew up watching him. Oh, and Andy Devine was another television, and that's where Ron Swede saw Froggy on the Andy Devine show. He had a raspy voice. Hey, Froggy, plunk your magic twanger over there. Plunk your magic twanger, Froggy. And he would appear, and The Ghoul kept that whole shtick. He would say, plunk your magic twanger. Well, Tony Beller got this frog, and he was really like kind of hard, but he squeaks. He still squeaks.
Does he?
Yep. He almost squeaks as good as my Barba Papa. Yeah.
Is he going to say Budweiser? Or?
But Tony restored this guy.
Yeah.
And he made him. He stuffed him with some batting, so he was nice and full there. Usually it was filled with air, and it was real like rubbery.
Yeah.
A little more flexible.
He's got the little stamp on his butt.
The Rempel stamp.
Yeah, Rempel.
On his rumple.
The Rempel on his rump.
Yeah, but Tony replaced the squeaker, so yeah, it's he repaired the whole thing.
He's so cute.
He's in good working condition, and also from the Beller booth, I was able to. He threw these in, I think. It's the Froggy Squeezins bottle.
Oh yeah, so we had the Ghoul Brew, but we didn't have those.
We have the original brown bottle of Turn Blue Ghoul Brew, which is it's a brown bottle, and it's like a.
Yeah, that's what I said. We had the Ghoul Brew, but we didn't have.
This is brew.
Well, no, but we didn't have the Froggy one.
Right, but
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we never. I missed out. I did buy Froggy Squeezins when it came out, which was like a lemon lime drink, where the Turn Blue Ghoul Brew was. You know what flavor this was?
No. I never drink it.
It was root beer.
Was it?
Blue
See,
root
I
beer.
remember hearing of those, but I never actually drank them.
Yeah, and the first release, like I said, was in
And
a,
I'm not about to now.
no,
That's 20 years
this
later.
is I think this is dyed water, but
Yeah.
but the original bottle of Ghoul Brew of the Ghoul Brew was brown, and it had the label was like a real simple. You know,
Yeah.
it was like a what do you call that? Like a
plain
silk
label.
screen. Yeah, it was just like the ghoul's head with Ghoul Brew on it. That's it.
Bone Jangler says.
But these are cool. These are nicer, interesting
see.
labels.
Where did that go? Oh, Juliet. Yes, we actually saw that same episode. Juliet's watching. She says Creature Features recently did a great documentary on Bob Wilkins. Everyone who watched turned into us. Yeah, it was an indie film documentary that they got to host.
Creature Features.
Yeah, it's really good. About Bob Wilkins' Creature Features from out west.
Yes.
So Creature Features, we like them too.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Bone Jangler says when the Ghoul sued the son of Ghoul in court, the Ghoul said he created the Froggy character.
He didn't.
And he didn't.
I'm sorry, but he didn't. You could. That's easy to prove. I mean,
And Van Ciatra says used to have a Buster Brown's in the Chapel Hill Mall. Wow.
well, well, but okay.
Back
so,
when people would go to the mall.
oh, I remember. I went to Buster Brown as a kid and Tom McCann.
And David Phillips says, when I was a kid, there was a shoe store in the strip section of Parmatown that featured Buster Brown shoes.
Yeah.
The cool thing is that
The
they
toys.
had a real monkey at the store.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they did.
One of your cousins, Grimm?
Perhaps, but probably not. I don't know. I'm of mixed breed. Yeah, I remember. I'm pretty sure it was. I think it was It was Buster Brown. The one we went to in Cleveland, the little one. They would. I remember there was like a little bowl of toys, like a little plastic, vending machine, like little dime type toys.
Yeah, the little machines.
Yeah, little machine toys, and you could pick one. I remember as a kid getting. I love that, the little toys that you used to get at Buster Brown.
How fun!
But speaking of stuff I loved as a kid, I'm still a big toy guy. Heck, I even do that for a living, sort of. Whoop.
Just a few more comments.
Yeah.
Lois says Bob Wilkins was great. I watched him every week when I lived in San Francisco. She said I was in San Francisco for almost 30 years.
Wow.
Still miss my city. Aw.
San Francisco. Yeah,
yeah, we would love to visit.
I've been.
I have not
I've been to
yet.
the Presidio. I've been to.
We would love to get out to California sometime.
To the Lucasfilm, to their studio that they have out there for work purposes. Back in another lifetime, I was there. Pretty cool place. I got some photographs I need to put up online. I've never released them.
Editor put WDIV in Detroit. The Ghoul said Froggy is from the Andy Devine show.
Yes, and even
Okay.
but before that, Froggy originated in the Buster Brown.
Buster Brown.
the
He was
Buster
their
Brown universe, whatever they did with it.
One of the mascots.
Yeah, you could just Google that. You could find it out. It's not hidden knowledge.
Yes.
But
okay.
when the Ghoul said he created the Froggy character, maybe he meant that that hey, how you doing, that voice,
Maybe he meant that variation.
and that he was like an antagonist.
Yeah, maybe there's some.
Because Froggy was a little kind of aggressive too, and with the Ghoul.
He was well. I always felt bad for him on the show.
Yeah, but they would give each,
But they
Froggy
would both pick
annoy
on
the
each
Ghoul.
other. Yeah.
So, but the Ghoul was always bigger and could
He was
strap
always-
him to a fan or blow him up with an M80.
I thought, oh no, poor Froggy. I wanted to go rescue him.
So, and reliving my childhood, I love doing that. Some people buy the stuff they didn't have as a kid. Sometimes I like to try to get, and some people buy the stuff they had as a
Yes.
kid but don't have it anymore. I do have a version of this, but then I found it. I don't even know if I can find this anymore. Years ago, I was lucky enough to go onto eBay. I believe I probably got this on eBay. But this is a toy that came out in the early '80s, I believe it was, called Manglore.
Manglore?
Yeah, Manglore, and it never worked though. But the premise was cool. It was like this rubbery, like this little rubber guy
Okay.
who was supposedly made out of this stuff that you could pull apart, like you could rip his arm off, but then you could stick the arm back on. It kind of sticks, but it would always fall off. They act like it would mend together, and it would be like this figure again.
And they never do.
But he's cool. He almost looks like Swamp Thing, right?
Okay.
From the DC Comics, but he comes in Manglore Mountain, and you got slime with this, and slime was a big toy back then.
Extra messy.
So you'd pour the slime in the Manglore Mountain, and you'd immerse him in the slime within his cage, but then you pump the tongue up on this little dragon head on the facade thing.
Okay.
And it would cause a vacuum with the slime, and it would push the cage up with the Manglore in it. Very cool. I loved this toy as a kid. And finally, I found one years ago in a box. I can't believe it's still I still kind of took care of it. But then recently, this is something that I wanted to get for a long time. I just went. It didn't cost that much, but I really wanted it because it was in the box. Does anybody remember this? It's Tobor.
Ooh, Tobor.
Which is robot spelled backwards, if you don't know. But it was a real cheap remote control toy. It's this robot guy, right?
Yeah, and you said you had one of those when you were a young ape.
Yeah, this came out in '78, I believe, like a year after the Star Wars craze. So everybody's scrambling to do space toys.
Right.
But this one was kind of funny because it operated. You don't get the remote control was just a clicker. That it's just like this little handheld clicker thing that literally makes a real loud click when you squeeze the handle, and that would trigger like if you do 1 click, 2 clicks, it was that kind of thing.
Did he talk?
No, it would just roll around.
He would just move around.
He could pick up something that you just maneuver it by this little like block that has a handle on it, and if he rolled by close enough, his hand would just pick it up. But that's all it did. But it didn't do anything else. But I remember,
he looks really cool.
He's really cool, and he's complete. It supposedly doesn't work, but I don't care. I just wanted the boxes with it, so that's even better.
Yeah, you need to find a cool way to display that.
Me some Tobors. And I remember playing with this on our kitchen floor, which was like 5 feet by 5 feet square. It was like a tiny kitchen in an apartment we grew up in. But I love this thing. I played with it all the time until it broke or whatever. And actually, I did find one in a thrift store several years ago.
Oh.
But it didn't have the stickers or any of the controllers or anything. But this one is all decaled up and ready to go. So
it's fun.
I like that. I like finding weird stuff, and these are things that are very hard to find.
Bone asking, do you have a Great Garloo? I don't think we have one of those. They're really hard to find.
No, Great Garloo was a little bit before me. Trust me, if I see one out there, and someone that's $5 like at a yard sale, I'm buying it.
Oh, of course, in a heartbeat.
Recently, I found Major Matt Mason toys. Found those. Those were the late '60s toys. I wasn't around then quite yet. I was right at the end of those '60s. But no Garloo. Trust me, we picked that up and snapped that up in a hot second.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool to see.
I think those are probably one of the hardest toys to find.
They're super hard to find, and then when you do find them, it's like in pieces, and if to find one complete would be like what, thousands probably.
A complete one, you could probably get a couple grand for it.
Wow.
Yeah. Which isn't that much, but I don't want to lay that down.
That's more than what I would want to spend on a toy.
I would buy it if it was a toy I had, but it wasn't something I had, so.
Candy Jack says, I found a Great Garloo at an antique show a few years back.
Jeez.
Ooh, that's cool.
Wouldn't it run you? Probably a few $100 at least, but it depends, I don't know.
Garloo was expensive when it came out, he says.
Yeah, I'm sure for at the time. Yeah. It was a remote control toy.
And Gary Smith says the Buster Brown comic book I have from 1954 was from Clarence Faflick Shoes, which had 4 locations in Cleveland.
Yeah, Faflick, I remember them.
Yeah.
I remember that shoe company.
I think we might have, not Buster Brown, but maybe a similar little comic book. I guess they would give them away at shoe stores.
I sold those.
Or you sold those.
A while back we got some books from a deal, and those sold right away. I sold those for $50 a piece.
I guess they're hard to find.
Same guy bought one, and then I put the other 2 up. He snapped up the other 2 quick.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess a lot of shoe stores.
Yeah, I couldn't remember, but I remember seeing it.
A lot of shoe stores back in the day used to advertise. What they would do is they would rip the cover off of the comic, and then they would have some kind of real cheap screen printed thing that advertised their shoe store specifically on the back.
Right.
And it would say like Space Fun, and it was like this generic like one color print on a white. They were cool looking, But they just took the original covers off of a comic book, but they may have made
theirs on it. Yeah.
But the Buster Brown comics, which I have some of those too. I have to look to see if there's any shoe store. There might be They might have left a white panel on the back that shoe store could have printed
to put their logo on it,
or custom ordered some comics for their shop.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. Anyway, I love stuff like that too. But yeah, if you find those comics out there with the white cover with some kind of screen print, generic screen print or whatever the comic's inside, and it has a shoe store printed on the back, like a location, those are worth money.
Yeah, I'm actually very choosy with collecting things because we accumulate so many things.
I mean, I can't help it though.
Yeah, every now and then you see something like that where you're like, oh, I want that, Or if you find it for a really good deal.
I don't know. I
Like
mean,
I have a small Mego collection now because I was able to find a bunch of them on sale.
but the good thing about this stuff, though, is that if you wanted to sell it, you could. I mean, some of the stuff holds its value. Mm-hmm. You know, if you look up Mangalore Mountain, I would say if you could, you know, look at it. But this is not a cheap toy.
No.
Especially.
I can imagine it's probably
this
a
is
hard to find
complete.
one. Yeah.
It even has the Mangalore in it. So I think it has a dried up slime packet in it. But yeah, I don't know. But I don't want everything from my past. Just a few.
No,
things.
we can't have everything. So.
You could.
You can have
but-
some things.
Yeah.
Can't have everything. All right. So there's more comments here.
Yes, please.
Let's see.
Let's interact. Need some more wool towel. Where'd it go?
Something
Oh.
about they had a Tyco racetrack kit.
Yeah, Tyco. Yep, I remember
Yeah,
those.
like the car racetrack sets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
those
had-
were popular.
They had like the controller with the wire, and you would like squeeze it or turn another. But
Yeah.
we went to an estate sale recently. And I did find a box. Remember the box I found that had a bunch of old late '60s GI Joe parts in it,
Oh yeah.
and those are all gross because a mouse got in there. But it has a bunch of uniforms, a couple of the old, early '70s GI Joes with the flocked hair, $6 Million Man doll. But I have to clean all those up because they've been mouse pooped and peed on. So, but I got the whole box for $10, so I think it'll be worth going through and cleaning some of it up. It's almost like we're doing our podcast.
I know.
But yeah, I mean,
So we're going to host a podcast this Sunday, actually, where we talk more in depth about certain things, like behind the scenes stuff. So remember to, if you haven't already, you could subscribe. You could click the little notification bell. So that way, when we go live like this or host a podcast, you'll get notified and you can chime in and hang out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there we go.
Anything else on the agenda?
Bone Jangler says ABC fired Vampira largely in part due to the fact that they had the rights to do the Addams Family on TV, and they wanted to call the then nameless Morticia Vampira. Mila wouldn't sell the Vampira character to them.
Whoa. See, there's stuff that's not in.
Oh, okay. Wow.
To quote Bone Jangler, whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh, there's probably so much other stuff.
There's so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much I want to learn with that stuff. And
Well, go ahead.
well, I'm not. I'll talk. We'll talk about it later.
Well, here's what I'll say.
Some stuff I'm not sure if I should.
No, but
yeah.
I can say this. I think we can say this. What's surprising is you can easily go search on the internet about Mila Nurmi, and there are actual clips of her speaking about how she feels about many things. There are chunks of interviews, and it's not like hearsay because you're hearing it right from Mila's mouth.
Yes.
There was that one interview.
There were
we found
several interviews of her from the 1980s where
Yes.
she talks about
profusely.
some kinescopes.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, and
So-
well, don't get. Yeah.
It's interesting.
There's a lot. There's some questions and things that I hope aren't true. But if they are, it's probably one of the most horrific things I've ever heard as far as preserving television history, art, American pop culture history,
Yeah.
things like that. But my main point is not like somebody's writing this based on what they read or what they
No,
heard.
there's actual video of people talking about it.
Of Mila speaking
her
about
talking
certain
about it.
things that has always been out there, but we just never thought to look for it.
Yeah.
But it's quite shocking. And so I would say if you want to know, I would say there's a lot more to the Vampira Mila Nurmi character than you might realize. A lot of us just took it in stride, give her the credit of being, as Bone Jangler once said, the god,
The mother of all horror
the grandmother,
hosts.
The mother of all
The mother
horror
of all
hosts.
horror
yeah.
hosts.
Yeah, called her mother, and it's true. And
Yes.
you think that's like, oh, she did that, and she must be, but it's not that pretty of a of a career for her, unfortunately.
It wasn't a glamorous life.
Yeah.
It was a lot of hardships.
Even that title, Glamour Ghoul, might be a little bit sort of sad in a way too, melancholy, like
Yeah. It wasn't as it just there's parts of it that are just it makes you sad.
I don't.
And it's like poor Mila.
Is it too late to get her get something? I don't know how. I mean,
I don't know. We'll
I don't
have
know.
to yeah.
But
Well,
all
you
you
guys
can
have
do-
to read the book to know more.
But I think all you can. I think one thing to do is just never forget her and always talk about her and praise her for what she actually did.
Yes.
which is
People credit where credit is due.
And I would have to say, any horror host I've ever met or heard or watched, that's exactly what they do.
Yep.
They pretty much, revere her and know where her place is in all of this, because, someone had to kick it off, and it was her. And the way she did it, God, it makes you, the little bit that exists of her in character makes you wonder, like, what was the rest of that like,
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It would have been awesome to see those shows.
Yeah, the power and just the few clips that exist. I mean, geez.
Yeah.
But
okay, the Rondo Awards ceremony is also Sunday night.
I think that's what I.
We'll have to double check online, but
they may be Sunday night.
The voting for Rondos are all done.
Yeah, a week ago.
So
yeah.
thank you guys for voting.
Yes.
Thanks for wanting to be a part of it, and there's so many different categories to choose from, with books, magazines, movies. It's all stuff that was released in 2022.
Yep.
For the books and movies and things like that, magazines, magazine cover art, it goes really in depth.
Yeah. So they do release the winners, but they have a sort of a ceremony. They do like an online chat, where it's like about a 2 or 3 hour thing. They just really, you sit there and you're in this chat room, which is kind of funky, and you get to see everybody talking, and David runs the whole show.
Yes.
And he announces the category, and then people chat a little bit, then he'll announce the winner. And then people can chat. So, and I believe you can check the website, but it might be this Sunday night. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, we'll have to check on their pages. But
I'd like to sit in. I usually sit in and watch it and just kind of go. And then the next day they'll release the winners officially on their site. But there is a a little ceremony they do online. Yes. A live chat.
Yes. So, again, thanks to you guys out there for participating.
Yeah.
We're, how should I say that? We don't expect much out of it, but it's nice to be on the ballot. It's nice that people do vote.
Yeah.
And we already have our one-of-a-kind Rhonda
award.
Did you guys know Rondo hadn't had a sister?
I don't think Rondo knew he had a sister.
I don't think Rondo knew he had a sister.
It was estranged, yeah.
This is his estranged sister, Rhonda.
And that was created...
Keyword on the duh. You're Rhonda.
Yeah.
But John Rogers actually made this...
The late John Rogers.
The late John Rogers. Unfortunately, he did pass away, I believe, earlier this year.
Yes.
Over the winter time, and he made this along with other art pieces that he would send into the show, and he used to watch. He was also a friend of the son of Sammy Terry.
Oh.
And he would send in art pieces to Sammy Terry's son.
We may be the only horror host or any person or anything that has a Rhonda.
We're the only people that have the Rhonda award.
Dang right. So we'll take that.
Yes. I'll see if I can. I love it. She's got jewelry on, long hair.
She's gorgeous.
She looks.
She's
wonderful.
a handsome woman. Look at her.
She looks fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so yeah, rest in peace, John Rogers, and we are eternally grateful for the Rhonda Award.
Yes, that's an original fun idea. But we'll sit and we'll watch the ceremonies, I think, and and maybe get involved in the chat a little bit. But yeah, with the horror host category is what it is, and it just
it's a tough category because.
But like you said, if we make the honorable mention, that's pretty good.
Yeah, to be part of it is nice. It's just a weird category because of the different levels. It's kind of like the Little League.
There are no levels.
Well, there are no levels, but it's like. Well, I'm trying to explain.
Yeah.
It's like they took the Little League players and the Big League players and put them all in one category and just shook it all up. And then it's, the Big League people that get it, and then the Little Leaguers are, we're just happy to be on the ballot, I guess.
Yeah, and some of it too, I wonder, does anybody that does, let's say, a television station, no matter who it is, if you're backed by a television station or owned by whatever it is, the production cost usually, and there's a crew involved, but I don't know that for a fact. I don't know that 100% television produced, commercial television horror hosted shows or movie hosted shows have a cast, crew, and budget. Whereas an independent operation, most of us do it all ourselves.
Yes.
So there's there's some difference there. It's like a band before they become famous. They don't win Grammys.
Well, yeah, like if you're on Shudder or on another large, TV thing or another paid subscription service, yeah, you're probably tied to a studio. You've got a crew,
right?
And it's a whole nother playing. It's a whole different level.
To me, yeah, there are lounge singers that are just as good or better than some people that are on a record label. But the lounge singer or the person in a club who doesn't have a deal for whatever reason will never win a Grammy. They won't go, hey, we were scouring the clubs just to find someone independent that's not signed yet to give a Grammy to. They haven't been inducted, but see, that's the thing. Well, there should be.
So, and it's not about. We're saying this. It's not about us.
No,
it's about
the whole
community.
Right.
The other fellow horror hosts.
But we're not speaking for them, though.
We're not speaking for them, but
in our opinion.
In our opinion.
Yeah.
We think maybe it needs to be split up somehow or something.
It might level the playing field a little bit.
Or maybe there needs to be a different thing for indie people. I don't know.
And it's because of certain differences. Like I said, it could just be the production and the fact that it's two different sort of platforms. Although I guess it can be argued if you're on the internet, you have more chances to reach more people than a television station. So I don't know. I know it's a little sticky, and it's you don't want to get into the sour grapes area because that's not what this is about.
Yeah, and you don't want to create waves.
No way.
You want to sometimes offer constructive, like criticism or suggestions.
Like how you see it.
Without coming off as like, oh, you should do it this way.
Yeah.
Or, oh, why didn't we win? No, it's not. It's about having it, so others get a chance, so.
It's just questionable because there are, within that particular awards ceremony, there are different levels or different categories. It's not just for a magazine. They do magazine, then article, and then, writers. So it is kind of broken down.
Yeah. But in other categories, it's just one giant lump. And it's not really.
And I guess I'll just say
split up into pieces.
And I guess I'll say it here because I was gonna say I was gonna try to figure out a way to put this, but we did as you're reading other people who are involved in being voted for. Let's be real across the board.
Okay.
You do see them post on social media going, "I'm very excited about this year's Rondo Awards because I've been nominated and we'll see what happens at the ceremony." You know what I mean? I'm excited to see what happens. I would say the horror host category is probably the only one that, even if you're nominated, you kind of know,
You kind of know what's going to happen.
So can you?
And you're not really expecting much.
And it doesn't change anyone's life. It's not like it doesn't make or break you.
Yes.
But you have a different experience, being involved in that part of it. But But like I said, I honestly to just do what we do and then to be even nominated and part of
it is cool to be nominated.
It
is cool
amazing.
To be on the ballot. It is cool that you guys are saying that you wrote in, that you voted, and to see people participating is nice.
Yeah,
and we didn't make that award show, so we don't have that say. So we're just stating opinions and suggestions.
Yeah, and
without trying to step on anyone's toes.
Yeah, and who wins it. That's well deserved. I mean, you can't ever say. I mean, it's not by, it's totally by the fans voting, and that's fine. And that's great.
So it's all people voting.
So you can't knock that, and we never would. Because yourself.
This is a good point, Bone Jangler. People think that all of us horror hosts are in competition with each other, which, if you ask any of us, is absolutely not true.
We're not in competition. There's what competition?
No, when fellow horror hosts are like other people that are just kind of in the same thing that we like to do. I don't think of it as a competition, really.
Yeah.
I think of it as, like when I think of competition, I'm thinking of my own goals that we set, our own goals that
personal
we set
goal,
for the show, my own personal goals of where I want the viewership to be, where I want things
the show
to be,
go, what level,
where I want the show to go,
production level,
whatever. So we have
blah.
our own things in our head of where we want to be, and we're trying to compete with that.
Yeah, it's not like DJ Radio Wars where
we're not like, oh, you have a show.
There would be
but
there would be competition if you had like a show. That's where that competition comes from. Like within, like, let's say, forget about sports. which is a team thing. But like DJs, let's like rate. Remember that was a big thing. You know, there's this radio, the 8 o'clock morning drive show. Whose ratings beat this guy? There was competition in those types of things. You know. Because they were competing for viewers at the same time period.
Same time slots.
It's totally different.
James Mascarella says, "What about the Fanny Awards for this year?" Yeah, Grimm. What about the Fanny Awards?
What about them? What about them?
People want to know when you're going to have them next. And that was your idea. That was your baby. So I let you orchestrate that.
It's still in the works. Yeah, I still have an idea for it, and I think I even have a better idea for it. So, give me a second. It's all good. It's not dead yet. The Fanny is still alive.
Yeah. Michael McBride. It's a family of horror hosts, not a competition field.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not a sports thing. It's not a competing thing. It's just we like to do our different things, and we all have goals in mind that we want to do or achieve or whatever.
Well, but going back to that stuff, then maybe that's what it is. I mean, if there's a favorite horror host out there, and if the way to that's what it is. I mean, that's where people are watching. They should always win.
I guess. I mean, I just thought maybe split it into like a subcategory. So like 21A and 21B. So maybe the B would be
but
for
when
the
do you
indie
step out of
people.
that though? Like say are you
when you are
let's say horror host A on TV has 3 million viewers, and horror host B in the internet has 10 million viewers. Now this 10 million this horror host on YouTube has more than horror host A on TV. So now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So does horror host B go over to horror host A category because they have a lot of people watching them now, and it's not fair to the other horror hosts on the internet that don't have, you know what I mean?
Okay, well,
I don't know.
I voted for category 21. I voted for some horror hosts that we know.
Yep, me too.
That get as much views as a national network. They have built up their online platform, and they have a really nice studio. They have a really good production quality. The video quality looks amazing.
Then they have to just...
And their viewership is probably just as much as like a national
channel. Then they just have to put the word out and say, hey, vote for us.
So I voted for them.
Yeah. And it's if they want that round
And I love Sven. Don't get me wrong. We like Sven Gulli. We watch Sven Gulli.
Yep.
We like, the character. We like the jokes.
The guy has chops, that's for sure.
He's won a bunch of times, so I voted for someone that I think is, pretty close to that level. So I voted for someone.
But that's all you can do, If people don't vote, then nothing changes.
So I consider others that are like, close to that.
Yeah, we didn't vote for ourselves.
Awesomeness.
No way.
No.
That's lame.
Maybe one year I did, where I'm just like, well, whatever, I'll just vote for us. But I try to vote for other people.
I don't know.
Too.
It's not that it's a touchy subject, but it's just it's you just don't you want to just not be pigeonholed as like someone that's like a bitter or upset. Because that's not what it's about. Because obviously whoever wins that any category, it's because people voted for them. Done. Mm-hmm. There's no you can't. There's going to be winners and losers, and that's always fine.
Yes.
It's just I don't know.
It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
So on that note, I'm a tired little ghoul here.
Wow.
And I think, this is like itching my head right now. I'm
gotta
taking
fart.
this off.
Yeah.
And you have to fart?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, I need to leave the room.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
You will one way or the other, let me tell you. Oh, look at you.
Yeah, this is all.
All right. Well, hey,
itchy.
it's been fun chatting. I don't know that we,
Yeah, it's been awesome chatting with you guys. We're just sort of BS in here. We talked about amazing books. That Glamour Ghoul book, definitely.
Yes, but more importantly.
Yeah, definitely pick this book up. There's a lot of shocking stories in there.
Yeah,
and it's
no BS.
Once you start
it's
reading
good.
it, you can't put this book down.
Yeah.
It's really good.
You were just shot out of a cannon reading. You couldn't put it down.
I could not put that book down.
You read that within a few days.
Yeah. So, okay, thank you guys so much.
She was in the shower with that book.
No, I was not.
It was crazy. She couldn't put it down. She went skydiving, couldn't put it down.
Mowing the lawn.
Mowing the lawn,
Yeah.
anything, I don't want to say the other stuff she was doing, like, hey, put the book down. She wouldn't put it down.
I just cannot put the book down. No.
How can I read this with soap in my eyes? I don't know.
While brushing my teeth, I'm reading.
Everything.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Good night. Good fright. Mwah.
Mm.
Bye-bye.
See ya.